Barren. The word echoed across the ceremonial grounds like a death sentence. Sonia's knees hit the stone platform, the mate bond shattering inside her chest with a sound only she could hear. 300 wolves watched in silence as Alpha José Cook turned his back on her, his rejection final, his disgust evident. "You're worthless to this pack," he said, his voice cold enough to freeze blood. "A Luna who can't produce heirs is no Luna at all." The pack physician nodded in agreement. Melissa Hartwell smiled from the crowd. No one noticed Sonia's hand drifting to her stomach. No one saw the secret she was hiding beneath her ceremonial robes. But 6 weeks from now, when José discovered what he'd just thrown away, that smile would die on Melissa's face, and Sonia would make them all pay. The scream tore through Nightshade territory at exactly 3:47 a.m., shattering the pre-dawn silence like a gunshot through glass. Sonia's eyes snapped open, her wolf surging to the surface before her human mind could catch up. The sound hadn't come from her children. She'd know their voices anywhere, could pick them out of 1,000 cries. This was different. This was a warning howl from the Border Patrol, the kind that meant only one thing: intruder. She was out of bed and moving before the echo faded, her bare feet silent on the wooden floors as she rushed to the twins' room. George and Loretta were already awake, sitting up in their beds with that eerie calm that always unsettled the other pack members. Too aware, too knowing for 3-year-olds. "It's him, isn't it, Mama?" Loretta's voice was barely a whisper, but the certainty in it made Sonia's blood run cold. She didn't ask how her daughter knew. Loretta had always been able to sense things, feel the emotions that rippled through the pack bonds like stones thrown in still water. If she said it was him, then it was. "Stay here," Sonia commanded, her voice taking on the authority she'd learned from Alpha Dimitri. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me or the Alpha. Understand?" George's golden eyes, so heartbreakingly similar to José's, narrowed with a protectiveness that belonged on a grown wolf, not a child. "We should come with you." "No!" Sonia's tone left no room for argument. She crossed to them, kissing each of their foreheads, breathing in their scent, milk and honey, and something wild that was purely their own. "I need to know you're safe. Please, my loves. For me." She felt the moment they submitted to her will, saw it in the slight relaxation of their small shoulders. They were strong, these children of hers, but they were still children, and she would die before she let José Cook anywhere near them unprepared. Sonia shifted as she hit the door, her wolf form exploding outward in a rush of silver-white fur and lethal grace. She was no longer the small, timid wolf José had dismissed. 3 years of training, of fighting, of protecting her children had transformed her into something else entirely. Something dangerous. Welcome back to the channel, my dear friends. Before we dive deeper into the story, kindly click subscribe, like this video, and tell me in the comments which country you are watching from. Your support helps me bring you more thrilling stories, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now, let's get into the story. The Nightshade compound was alive with movement. Warriors poured from their homes, forming defensive positions with the precision of a pack that had trained for exactly this scenario. Alpha Dimitri stood at the center, already in wolf form, his massive black coat rippling with tension. But it was the figure at the border that made Sonia's heart stop. José Cook stood in human form just beyond the territorial markers, flanked by 12 of his most elite guards. He looked exactly as she remembered, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell just past his collar and eyes that could freeze fire. Those eyes were locked on her now, and even from 50 yards away, she could feel the weight of his stare like a physical touch. The bond flared between them, a phantom pain that shouldn't exist. He had rejected her, severed the mate bond in front of the entire Silver Moon pack. It should be dead, gone, nothing but a scar on her soul. But something was wrong. The bond wasn't dead, it was alive, pulsing, reaching across the distance between them like a living thing desperate to reconnect. Sonia shifted back to human form, grateful when one of Dimitri's guards tossed her a robe. She wrapped it around herself with deliberate slowness, refusing to show weakness, refusing to cover in haste like she had something to be ashamed of. "You're on Nightshade territory, Alpha Cook." Dimitri's voice rang out, hard as iron. "State your business or leave." José didn't even glance at him. His entire focus remained fixed on Sonia. And she saw something in his expression that made her wolf snarl with warning. Not anger, not disgust, something worse. Recognition. "I'm here for my mate," José said, his voice carrying across the clearing with Alpha command behind it. The words detonated like a bomb. Gasps rippled through the Nightshade wolves. Even Dimitri's head whipped toward Sonia, question marks blazing in his eyes. Sonia felt laughter bubble up in her throat, bitter and sharp as broken glass. "You rejected me 3 years ago, José. You don't get to call me your mate anymore." The rejection was a mistake. 4 words. 4 simple words that were supposed to change everything, supposed to undo 3 years of agony and rebuilding and learning to survive without him. Sonia took a step forward, her bare feet crossing onto the cold ground between the territorial lines. Dimitri made a sound of warning, but she ignored him. She needed José to see her face when she said this, needed him to understand exactly what he'd lost. "A mistake," she repeated softly. "You stood before our entire pack and called me worthless. You said I was too weak to be Luna, too broken to give you children. You ripped our bond apart and watched me bleed out on the ceremonial grounds. And now you call that a mistake?" Something flickered across José's face. Pain, maybe, or regret. It was too dark to tell, and Sonia discovered she didn't care enough to decipher it. "Sonia, How did you find me?" She cut him off, her voice blade sharp. José's jaw tightened. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, "Melissa told me." The name hung between them like poison. Melissa Hartwell, the beta female who had circled José like a vulture from the moment the physician declared Sonia barren. Melissa, who had been so eager to step into the Luna position, who had convinced the pack that a strong alpha needed a strong mate. "Melissa," Sonia repeated, tasting ash on her tongue. "Your chosen mate. The one who was supposed to give you all those strong pups I couldn't." José flinched. Actually flinched. "It's not. The situation is complicated." "Then uncomplicate it." Sonia's wolf pressed against her skin, wanting out, wanting to tear into him for daring to come here. You have 60 seconds to state your business before Alpha Dimitri forcibly removes you from his territory. I know about the children. The world tilted sideways. Sonia's vision went white at the edges, her wolf howling in protective fury. Behind her, she heard Dimitri's growl, felt the Nightshade warriors tensing for battle. I don't know what you're talking about, she forced out through numb lips. José's eyes, those damn eyes that had once looked at her with love, filled with something that might have been anguish. Don't lie to me, Sonia, please. Melissa saw you in the market 3 months ago. She saw the twins. And she just happened to mention this to you? She thought I deserved to know that you'd moved on, that you'd found another mate and had his children. José took a step closer to the border, his hands flexing at his sides. But when she described them, the boy with golden eyes, the girl with that intensity that runs in my bloodline, I knew. Sonia's heart hammered against her ribs so hard she thought it might crack them. Knew what? That they're mine. His voice cracked on the last word, and Sonia heard 3 years of searching packed into 2 syllables. That you were pregnant when I rejected you. That the physician was wrong or lying or... Get out. Sonia, get out. The command ripped from her throat with alpha force behind it. Impossible for an Omega, except she hadn't been an Omega in 3 years. She'd been a mother, a warrior, a survivor. And that had changed her in ways José Cook would never understand. Her wolf surged forward, breaking through her skin in a partial shift that left her standing on 2 legs with fangs bared and claws extended. Behind her, a presence materialized that made José's guards step back in shock. The wolf that emerged from the shadows behind Sonia was massive, easily twice the size of a normal pack wolf, with fur that seemed to absorb light and eyes that glowed with ancient intelligence. It moved with liquid grace until it stood beside her, its shoulder level with her chest, radiating protective menace. "What is that?" one of José's guards whispered, terror bleeding into his voice. Sonia smiled, and it was all teeth. "This is Nyx, my companion, my protector." She placed one hand on the giant wolf's head, feeling its support flood through her. "The one who found me dying in the forest 3 years ago and chose to bond with me instead of letting me fade away." It wasn't entirely true. Nyx's origin was far more complicated, but José didn't need to know that. He only needed to understand one thing. "I am not the wolf you rejected," Sonia said softly. "That Sonia died the night you cast her out. The woman standing here now, she doesn't need you. She doesn't want you, and she will never, ever let you near her children." "Our children," José corrected, and there was steel in his voice now, alpha authority rising. "By pack law, they're mine." "Pack law?" Sonia laughed, the sound echoing across the clearing. "You want to talk about pack law? Fine. Let's discuss the law that says a rejected mate has no claim on children conceived before rejection. Or the law that says an alpha who abandons his bloodline forfeits all parental rights. Which law would you prefer to cite, José?" She saw the moment her words hit home, saw realization dawn across his features. He hadn't thought this through. He'd come here on impulse, driven by whatever emotions had been eating at him for 3 years. And now he stood on foreign territory with no legal ground to stand on. But José Cook hadn't become Alpha of Silvermoon by backing down. "I'll challenge Alpha Dimitri for custody rights," he said, his voice dropping into that dangerous register that meant he was past negotiating. "Winner takes all." "No." Dimitri's voice cut through the tension like a blade. The Nightshade Alpha stepped forward, positioning himself beside Sonia with deliberate intent. "You'll challenge me for nothing, Cook. Sonia is under my protection. Her children are under my protection. You have no authority here." José's eyes narrowed. "Then I'll petition the council. They'll order a blood test, confirm the twins are mine, and grant me custody rights regardless of past rejections." "You'll do no such thing," a new voice rang out, cold and imperious. Everyone turned to see an elderly woman stepping out of the Nightshade packhouse, wrapped in robes that marked her as a healer. Margaret. Sweet, gentle Margaret, who had saved Sonia's life and delivered her babies. Except the woman walking toward them now didn't look sweet or gentle. She looked ancient and powerful and thoroughly pissed off. "The council will do nothing," Margaret continued, her eyes locked on José with contempt that made several of his guards shift uncomfortably. "Because I falsified the birth records 3 years ago. According to every official document in existence, those children belong to a lone wolf named Thomas Gray, who died shortly after their birth. Sonia is listed as his grieving widow. There is no connection to you anywhere in the paper trail." Sonia stared at the old woman in shock. Margaret had never mentioned this, never told her about the elaborate cover story she'd constructed. "You lied to the council?" José's voice was barely above a whisper, but the threat in it made the air crackle with tension. "I protected a pregnant wolf from an alpha who had already destroyed her once." Margaret's chin lifted. "And I'd do it again." The standoff stretched between them, thick with possibility and violence. Sonia could feel José's wolf pushing at his control, could sense the barely restrained aggression in his guards. One wrong move, and this would turn into a bloodbath. "Mama?" The small voice cut through everything like a knife through silk. No, 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 no. Sonia spun to find George and Loretta standing in the doorway of the packhouse, having clearly ignored her orders to stay in their room. They were holding hands, twin expressions of curiosity on their faces, as they stared at the strange wolves invading their territory. The world seemed to slow down. Sonia saw José's face transform, saw him look at the children, truly look at them for the first time, saw recognition and wonder and devastation crash across his features in waves. George had his eyes. His exact eyes, down to the gold flecks in the iris. Loretta had his mother's cheekbones, the shape of his sister's face. They were undeniably, unmistakably his children. "Oh, gods," José breathed. "They're real. They're actually real." And then Loretta did something that made Sonia's blood turn to ice. She let go of George's hand and started walking toward José, her small feet carrying her across the clearing with the fearlessness of a child who had never known danger. "Loretta, stop!" Sonia lunged forward, but Dmitri caught her arm. "Wait," the Alpha murmured. "Look." José had dropped to his knees, tears streaming down his face as the little girl approached. He made no move to grab her, didn't reach out or command. He just knelt there, shaking, as Loretta stopped a foot away from him and tilted her head in that considering way she had. "You're sad," Loretta said softly. "You've been sad for a long time." José nodded, unable to speak. "Are you the wolf from Mama's dreams? The one who made her cry?" This time, José's nod was barely perceptible. "Yes," he managed. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." Loretta studied him for a moment longer, then turned to look at Sonia. "He doesn't feel bad, Mama. Not like the others who pretend. He feels broken." And that was when Sonia understood why her daughter had approached. Loretta could sense emotions, could read the truth behind words and walls. She wasn't being reckless. She was doing what she always did, seeking to understand before passing judgment. "Come here, baby," Sonia said gently. "Now." Loretta obeyed immediately, returning to her mother's side with George right behind her. The twins pressed against Sonia's legs, and she wrapped her arms around them, her heart still hammering with residual fear. José remained on his knees, looking like a man who'd seen heaven and hell in the same moment. "You need to leave," Sonia said quietly. "Tonight. Right now." "Sonia, no!" She shook her head, suddenly exhausted beyond measure. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up after 3 years and demand anything from me. From them. You made your choice, José. You stood in front of our pack and chose to believe I was worthless. You chose Melissa. You chose your precious bloodline over the mate the moon goddess gave you. Those choices have consequences." "I know." José climbed to his feet, and Sonia hated how her traitorous heart leapt at the movement. "I know. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make this right. But Sonia, please, those are my children, my blood. Don't I deserve a chance to know them?" "Deserve?" The word came out sharp enough to cut. "You want to talk about what you deserve? Fine. You deserve to feel exactly what you made me feel that night. You deserve to have something precious ripped away from you. You deserve to lie awake wondering if you'll ever be whole again." She took a breath, steadying herself. "But they deserve better than to be pawns in whatever game we're playing. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave tonight. And you're going to think very carefully about what you actually want. Because if you come back, if you push this, I will fight you with everything I have. And you will lose." "How can you be so sure?" José asked, and there was no challenge in it, only genuine curiosity. Sonia smiled, cold and certain. "Because I have something you'll never have again, José. I have the truth on my side. and I have absolutely nothing left to lose." She turned away from him then, guiding her children back toward the pack house. Behind her, she heard Dmitri issue a curt dismissal, heard José's guards murmuring as they prepared to leave. But just before she reached the door, José's voice rang out one last time. "The physician lied." Sonia froze, her hand on the doorframe. "What?" "The physician who declared you barren. Melissa paid him to lie. She wanted to be Luna, and she knew I would never reject you without cause." José's voice was raw, scraped clean of pretense. "I found the proof 2 months ago. Bank transfers, written testimony from his assistant. Everything. You were never barren, Sonia. I destroyed us both for a lie." The words hung in the air like smoke, choking and impossible to escape. Sonia didn't turn around, couldn't turn around, because if she looked at him now, if she saw the truth of his pain and regret, she might do something stupid. Something like forgive him. "That changes nothing," she said softly. "It changes everything." No. Now she did turn, and she let him see every ounce of the rage and grief she'd been carrying for 3 years. "It means you're a fool who was too weak to protect his mate from manipulation. It means you chose to believe the worst of me rather than trust our bond. It means you valued your pack's opinion more than you valued me. A lie can only destroy you if you let it, José. And you let it." She stepped inside and closed the door, cutting off whatever he might have said in response. The twins were quiet as she led them back to their room, as she tucked them into bed and sang the old lullaby her mother had taught her. But when she went to leave, George's small voice stopped her. "Are we going to see him again?" Sonia closed her eyes. "I don't know, sweetheart." "I hope we do," Loretta murmured, already half asleep. "He needs us. I could feel it." Long after the twins fell asleep, Sonia stood at her window, watching the tree line where José's scent still lingered on the wind. Her hand drifted to her chest, to the place where the mate bond pulsed with renewed life. 3 years ago, José Cook had rejected her for being barren. Now he knew the truth. And somehow, that made everything so much worse. So there she was, standing in front of the Silver Moon pack house, the place she swore she'd never return to. But life? Yeah, life has a twisted sense of humor. "You don't have to do this," Dmitri said beside her, his voice careful, neutral. Sonia tightened her grip on George's hand. Loretta clung to her other side, unusually quiet. "Yes," she said firmly, "I do." José had sent a formal request at dawn, supervised visitation, both alphas present, neutral ground. Except there was no neutral ground between Silvermoon and Nightshade. So José offered his own territory, with Dmitri there as a guarantee of safety. It was obviously a trap, but it was also an opportunity. "Mama," George whispered, his golden eyes tracking the crowd. "There are a lot of wolves watching us." He was right. Dozens of Silvermoon wolves lined the path, their faces ranging from curious to hostile. Sonia recognized some of them. She'd once called them family. Now they looked at her like she was a ghost. or worse, a threat. The pack house doors opened. José emerged, dressed formally in black, his hair pulled back, revealing those sharp angles of his face. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Good. But then she saw the woman beside him. And Sonia's wolf? It snarled with rage. Melissa Hartwell stood at José's right hand, exactly where a Luna should stand, wearing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 3 years had made her harder, sharper. Ambition was written in every line of her body. "Sonia," Melissa purred, "how lovely to see you again." "Cut the bullshit, Melissa." Sonia's voice could have frozen fire. "We both know why I'm here." "The children, of course." Melissa's gaze dropped to the twins, and something flickered across her face. Calculation. "They're quite remarkable." "Has José told you how you're going to pay for lying?" Sonia asked sweetly. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. José stepped forward, positioning himself between them. "Melissa isn't part of this discussion." "Like hell she isn't." Sonia released the twins' hands, trusting Dimitri to watch them. "She's the reason we're here, the reason you rejected me. Or did you forget the part where she bribed a physician to destroy our bond?" Gasps rippled through the watching pack. Melissa's face went white, then red. "That's a serious accusation," she said carefully. "It's the truth." José's voice was flat, dead. "I have the evidence, bank transfers, testimony, everything." He looked at Melissa with something that might have been pity. "You're being removed as beta. The council's already been notified." Melissa's mask cracked. "You're choosing her? After everything? After 3 years of leading this pack together?" "You never led anything," José said, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. "You manipulated, lied, sabotaged. The only reason you're not in pack prison right now is because I want this handled quietly." "Quietly?" Melissa laughed, the sound bordering on hysterical. "You bring her back here with bastard children, and you want quiet?" The growl that erupted from José, it flooded the clearing with alpha power, driving every wolf except Dimitri and Sonia to their knees. "Those children are my legitimate heirs," José said, his voice dropping into registers that promised violence. "And if you ever call them bastards again, I will personally deliver you to the council for judgment. Are we clear?" Melissa nodded, terror finally breaking through her composure. "Get out of my sight." She fled, practically ran for the pack house. Sonia watched her go and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph, just exhaustion. "The twins shouldn't have heard that," she said quietly. José's power retreated instantly. When he looked at George and Loretta, his expression was pure anguish. "I'm sorry. I never wanted—" He stopped, swallowed hard. "Can we talk, please? Just the 4 of us?" Dimitri nodded slightly. He'd maintain the perimeter, but give them space. 1 hour, Sonia said. José led them to a private sitting room. He'd prepared carefully, juice boxes and cookies for the twins, chairs positioned so no one had their back to a door. He was trying. She hated that she noticed. George and Loretta settled on the couch, watching José with identical expressions of curiosity, They'd inherited his intensity, that ability to observe and calculate that made him such a formidable alpha. "Hi," José said, and his voice actually shook. I'm José. You're—" He looked at Sonia helplessly. "Their father," Sonia finished. "Biologically." "Father," Loretta repeated, testing the word. "Like in the stories?" "Yes, sweetheart." Sonia sat beside them, needing the contact. "José is the wolf I was mated to before you were born." "Before he rejected you," George added, matter of fact. José flinched like he'd been struck. "Yes, before I made the worst mistake of my life." "Why did you do it?" Loretta asked. "Reject Mama." How do you explain betrayal to a 3-year-old? How do you tell your daughter that her father valued pride over love? But José answered before Sonia could intervene. "Because I was stupid and scared, and I let other people make me believe lies. Someone told me your mother couldn't have children, and I believed them instead of trusting our bond. And because of that, I hurt the most important person in my life." "Mama says lying is wrong," George said seriously. "Your mama is right. Lying is very wrong. And the person who lied to me is being punished." "What about you?" Loretta's eyes, so knowing, so old in her small face, pinned José in place. "Are you being punished?" "Every day," José whispered. "Every single day." Sonia's throat tightened. She'd wanted him to suffer, had dreamed of it during those first terrible months. But seeing him break in front of their children, it brought no joy. "Can we see your wolf?" George asked suddenly. José blinked. You want to see me shift?" "We want to know if we look like you." George's chin lifted with challenge. "Mama's wolf is silver white. Are we going to be dark like you?" The hope that bloomed across José's face was painful to witness. "I don't know. Wolf coloring doesn't usually show until first shift, and that's years away. But," he hesitated, "would you like to meet my wolf? He's been desperate to see you." The twins looked at Sonia for permission. She wanted to say no, wanted to protect them from the inevitable heartbreak. But they deserved to make their own choices. "It's up to you," she said carefully. "Yes," they said in unison. José stepped back, his body already beginning to change. The shift was smooth, controlled, an alpha's shift, powerful and precise. Within seconds, a massive dark wolf stood where the man had been, easily the size of a small horse, with fur that seemed to absorb the light. The twins gasped in wonder. And then, something happened that no one expected. George's eyes began to glow, that golden color intensifying until it lit up the entire room. Beside him, Loretta's hair started to float, lifted by invisible currents of power. "Sonia," José's mental voice was shocked. "What's happening?" "I don't know." Sonia reached for the twins, but a barrier of energy pushed her back. "George! Loretta!" But they weren't in distress. They were recognizing. The alpha power in José was calling to the alpha power in them. Pack bonds trying to form despite the severed mate connection. "They're so strong," José breathed. "Sonia, they're This is impossible. They shouldn't be able to access this kind of power for years. I know. Sonia had seen glimpses of it before, but never this intensely. They're different, special. The glow faded slowly. The twins slumped against each other, exhausted but smiling. George reached out tentatively, and José's wolf moved forward until the boy's small hand rested on his massive head. "You're warm," George murmured. Loretta joined him, both children petting their father's wolf with awe and delight. And José, proud, arrogant José, laid down and let them crawl all over him like puppies, his tail wagging with pure joy. Sonia felt tears streaming down her face before she realized she was crying. This was what she'd wanted 3 years ago. A family. Her mate and her children together, building something beautiful. Instead, she'd gotten rejection and exile, and had to build her family alone. Sonia. José had shifted back, oblivious to his nudity as he knelt before the twins. Thank you. Thank you for letting me see them, know them. I know I don't deserve it, but— You're right, she cut him off. You don't deserve it, but they do. They deserve to know where they come from, even if it's complicated. I want to be part of their lives. Please. Whatever it takes, whatever boundaries you need, I'll accept them all. Just don't shut me out completely. Before Sonia could respond, the door burst open. A young warrior stumbled in, bleeding from deep slashes across his chest. "Alpha!" he gasped. "Rogues! Dozens of them! They're attacking the eastern border!" The battle was brutal and swift. 15 rogues against Silvermoon's defenders. Coordinated and vicious in a way that suggested planning. Sonia fought beside José like no time had passed. Their movements synchronized by muscle memory and the ghost of their bond. She saved his life twice. He returned the favor by shielding her from a coordinated attack that would have torn her apart. When the last rogue fell, José turned to her with blood on his face and wonder in his eyes. "You're incredible," he breathed. "I'm a mother protecting her children's future," Sonia corrected. Nothing more. But they both knew it was a lie. Absolutely not. Sonia paced the length of Dimitri's office, her boots wearing a track in the expensive rug. Outside, dawn was breaking over nightshade territory. Beautiful. Deceptive. Like the proposal José had delivered 2 hours ago. "He's asking for joint custody," Dimitri said carefully. "Supervised visits escalating to partial custody over 6 months. It's actually quite reasonable." "Reasonable?" Sonia whirled on him. "He rejected me, cast me out, and now he wants to play father because it's convenient?" "Because he knows the truth." Dimitri's tone was gentle but firm. "Sonia, what's the end game here? You keep him away forever? The twins grow up wondering why they can't see their father?" She wanted to scream that yes, that was exactly the plan. But Loretta's words from last night echoed in her mind. "He needs us, Mama. And maybe we need him too." "I don't trust him," Sonia said finally. "Then don't trust him. Trust yourself. Trust that you're strong enough to protect your children, even if you let José into their lives." Dimitri stood, crossing to her. "You're not the same wolf he rejected. You're powerful, Sonia. a warrior. Maybe it's time to stop letting his past mistakes define your future. Before she could respond, the office door flew open. Margaret rushed in, her face pale. "It's Loretta," the healer gasped. "She's burning up, some kind of fever. I've never seen anything like it." Sonia was running before Margaret finished speaking. She burst into the twins' room to find George sitting beside his sister's bed, holding her hand while tears streamed down his face. Loretta was convulsing. Her small body racked with tremors, while her skin blazed hot enough to steam in the cool morning air. Her eyes had rolled back, showing only whites, and a low whine escaped her throat. "Baby, I'm here." Sonia gathered her daughter into her arms, ignoring the heat that singed her skin. "Mama's here." "It started an hour ago," George sobbed. "She said her wolf was trying to come out, but it hurts. It hurts her, Mama." "She's too young to shift," Margaret said, her healer's hands already working. "First shift shouldn't happen for years yet. I don't know what this is." "I do." Dimitri's voice was grim. "It's alpha emergence. Her wolf is too powerful to remain dormant. It's trying to surface early." "That's impossible," Sonia whispered. But even as she said it, she knew it was true. "We need an alpha," Margaret said urgently. "Someone powerful enough to help guide her wolf through the emergence. Otherwise—" She didn't finish. She didn't need to. Otherwise, Loretta would die, torn apart by a power she was too young to control. "Get José," Sonia heard herself say. "Sonia, now!" José arrived in 15 minutes, which meant he'd broken every speed limit and probably shifted and run for part of the journey. He burst through the door in half-shifted form, his wolf barely contained. "Where is she?" "Here." Sonia couldn't let go, couldn't release her daughter even to save her. "José, she's—" "I know. I can feel it." He dropped to his knees beside the bed. "It's the alpha gene. It's too strong in her, trying to force an early emergence." "Can you stop it?" "No," José's voice cracked. "But I can guide it. Help her wolf surface safely so the pressure releases." He looked at Sonia with naked fear. "But I need you. Our bond, even severed, there's still a connection. If we work together, combine our power—" "Tell me what to do." What followed was the most terrifying hour of Sonia's life. José walked her through opening herself to the bond, letting that phantom connection flare to life. Their combined alpha power flowed into Loretta, creating a safe channel for her wolf to emerge. "That's it," José murmured, his hand joined with Sonia's on Loretta's chest. "Come on, little one. Your wolf is beautiful, strong. Let her out." Loretta's eyes snapped open, glowing silver white like her mother's. And then she shifted. Not fully, but enough. Tiny claws, elongated canines, a soft down of fur along her arms. The fever broke instantly. Loretta blinked up at them, confused and exhausted. "Mama, why does everything smell so strong?" Sonia laughed and sobbed at the same time, crushing her daughter against her chest. "Because you're special, baby. So, so special." Over Loretta's head, her eyes met José's. The bond between them was singing now, alive in a way it hadn't been since the rejection. And for the first time in 3 years, Sonia didn't try to shut it down. Later, after Loretta had fallen asleep, with George curled protectively around her, Jose and Sonia sat on the porch watching the sunrise. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for coming, for saving her." "She's my daughter." Jose's voice was rough with emotion. "I'll always come when she needs me. When any of you need me." "Jose, I know you don't forgive me. I know I destroyed something that can't be rebuilt. But Sonia, please, let me prove I've changed. Let me be the father they deserve and the mate you needed 3 years ago." Sonia closed her eyes, feeling the bond pulse between them like a living thing. "The mate bond, when you rejected me, you severed it, but now, it's healing." Jose turned to her, hope and terror warring in his expression. "Because you never fully accepted the rejection. Some part of you, maybe unconscious, refused to let it die completely. That's not possible." "It's the only explanation. Sonia, we're still mates. The bond is damaged, scarred, but it's alive. Don't you feel it?" She did. Moon goddess help her, she did. And it terrified her more than anything. "I can't do this," she whispered. "I can't go through losing you again." "Then don't lose me." Jose slid from his chair to kneel before her, his hands capturing hers. "Let me earn you back, one day at a time, one moment at a time. Let me prove that I'm not the fool who rejected you. Please, Sonia, please." She should say no, should protect herself, protect her heart, should remember every moment of agony and use it as armor. But Loretta's words whispered through her mind, "He needs us, Mama." And maybe, just maybe, they needed him too. "Supervised visits," she heard herself say. "In neutral territory. You earn every moment with them, every smile, every laugh. And if you hurt them, I won't. I swear on my Alpha oath, on my pack, on my life. I won't hurt them. Or you. Not ever again." Sonia pulled her hands free, standing. "We'll see. But Jose, this doesn't mean I forgive you. Trust is earned, and you have a long way to go. I'll go as far as it takes." The challenge came 6 weeks later, exactly when Sonia's carefully rebuilt life was starting to find balance. She was in the nightshade training yard, sparring with Dimitri, when the howl echoed across the territory. Not a warning, not a greeting. A formal challenge for Alpha rights. "What the hell?" Dimitri froze mid-strike. Sonia knew that howl. But this wasn't coming from Silvermoon territory. It was coming from the east, from the Rogue lands. And it was challenging Jose. "I have to go," Sonia said, already running. "Sonia, wait!" But she was already gone. The bond pulling at her chest like a fishhook. Jose was in danger. Jose needed her. Nothing else mattered. She made it to Silvermoon territory in record time. The challenge circle was already formed. Hundreds of pack members gathered to witness. In the center stood Jose, magnificent and deadly in his alpha form. And across from him, Sonia's blood turned to ice. Ryder Knox, the rogue alpha who controlled the eastern territories, who'd been building an army of outcasts and ferals for years. He was massive, scarred, with eyes that promised violence. "This is illegal," one of Jose's betas was arguing. "You can't challenge for a pack you don't belong to." "Old law says otherwise," Ryder's voice was gravel and broken glass. Any alpha can challenge for any pack if they can prove they have rights to it. And I have a right. What right? José demanded. Ryder smiled, all teeth. The right of a rejected mate's new alpha. See, I've claimed Sonia Cook as mine, which makes her children mine, which makes Silvermoon mine through bloodline law. The world tilted sideways. Sonia's wolf howled in denial. She'd never even met this male, let alone accepted him as mate. You're lying. José's voice was deadly calm. Wouldn't she? Ryder pulled out a document, tossing it into the circle. That's a witnessed mating contract, signed and sealed. She's mine, Cook, and you're going to die for touching what belongs to me. José picked up the document. Sonia could see the exact moment he recognized the signature. Her signature. Or a forgery good enough to pass. His eyes found her in the crowd, and the betrayal there nearly broke her. José, no! Sonia pushed through the pack members. I never signed that. I don't even know him. Stay back, Sonia, José commanded. This doesn't concern you. Like hell it doesn't. He's lying. Then why is your signature on a legal contract? José's voice was ice. Why is there a witness mark from a council member? Because someone had set her up. Someone wanted José dead, and Sonia blamed for it. I'll prove it, she said desperately. Give me time. There is no time. Ryder shifted, his wolf form even more monstrous than José's. The challenge is issued. The challenge is accepted. We fight. Now. What followed was carnage. Ryder fought dirty, using tactics that would get him disqualified in any sanctioned challenge. José held his own, but Sonia could see he was struggling. Distracted by the claim that she belonged to another. The bond between them was screaming, begging her to intervene. But challenge law was absolute. If she interfered, José would forfeit by default. Unless... The realization hit her like lightning. There was one way to prove the contract was fake. One way to end this before José died. Sonia stepped into the challenge circle. Gasps erupted from the watching pack. Dimitri shouted her name. But Sonia ignored them all, walking straight to where José and Ryder circled each other. I invoke Mate right, she called out, her voice carrying across the clearing. As José Cook's true mate, I have the right to intercede in challenges that involve my bond. You rejected him, someone shouted. No. Sonia pulled down the collar of her shirt, revealing the mark that had appeared 6 weeks ago after Loretta's emergence. José's mark. Faint, but visible. Proof that their bond had reformed. He rejected me. I never accepted. The bond healed because we're true mates. And that means I can challenge Ryder's claim directly. Ryder shifted back to human form, his smile vicious. You want to challenge me, little Omega? I'm not an Omega anymore. Sonia let her own power surge. Alpha force that made several pack members step back in shock. And yes, I challenge your claim. If I win, you leave and never return. If you win, she swallowed hard. You can have Silvermoon, but not my children. Sonia, don't! José tried to move toward her, but challenge magic held him in place. I have to. She looked at him, pouring 3 years of love and pain and hope into that gaze. You saved our daughter. Let me save you." She shifted, her silver-white wolf smaller than Ryder's, but faster, more agile, and backed by something he didn't have, the desperate love of a mother who would burn the world to protect her family. The fight was vicious. Ryder had experience and size. Sonia had fury and motivation. But then something incredible happened. George and Loretta appeared at the circle's edge. Their small hands joined, power blazing from them in waves of golden light. They were feeding their strength to their mother. Sonia felt it flood through her, felt her wolf grow larger, stronger. And with a final, desperate lunge, she went for Ryder's throat. He tried to dodge, failed. Her teeth sank deep, and she tasted victory and blood. Ryder shifted back, gasping, his hands at his throat. "I yield," he choked out. "I yield." Sonia released him, standing over his fallen form. "Leave, and if you ever threaten my family again, I'll finish what I started." Ryder fled, his supporters scattering like roaches when the lights came on. The challenge circle dissolved, and suddenly José was there, shifting back to human form as he caught Sonia in his arms. "You could have died," he said roughly, his hands running over her, checking for injuries. "So could you." Sonia leaned into him, exhausted beyond measure. "José, I never signed that contract. I don't know how he got my signature, but—" "I know." José pressed his forehead to hers, and the bond between them sang. "I know, Sonia. I should have trusted you. Should have known you'd never—" His voice broke. "I'm sorry. Again. Always. Stop apologizing and kiss me, you idiot." So he did. And it was like coming home after 3 years in the wilderness, like finding water in the desert, like breathing for the first time. The bond between them blazed to life, fully healed, stronger than before. When they finally broke apart, George and Loretta were there, grinning up at them. "Does this mean we're a family now?" George asked hopefully. Sonia looked at José, saw her own hope reflected in his eyes. "Yeah, baby," she whispered. "I think it does." The Luna ceremony was nothing like the one Sonia had 3 years ago. That one had been full of pomp and tradition, beautiful and empty. A performance they'd both played their parts in. This one was different. The ceremony took place at the border between Silvermoon and Nightshade territories, witnessed by both packs in an unprecedented show of unity. Dimitri stood as Sonia's sponsor, his approval meaning everything to the wolves who'd taken her in when she had nothing. Margaret stood with the twins, both of them dressed in formal wear that made them look adorable and far too grown up. George kept fussing with his collar, while Loretta watched everything with those knowing eyes. And José stood at the altar they'd built together, literally built, both of them working side by side. He wore traditional ceremonial robes, his dark hair loose around his shoulders. And when he looked at Sonia, there was nothing but love in his gaze. 3 years ago, José began, his voice carrying across the assembled packs. I stood before you and made the worst mistake of my life. I rejected my true mate because I believed a lie. Because I was too proud to trust what the moon goddess had given me. He paused, his eyes finding Sonia's. I don't deserve a second chance. I don't deserve forgiveness. But Sonia, incredible, powerful, beautiful Sonia, has given it to me anyway. Not because I earned it, not because I suffered enough, but because she has a capacity for grace that I can spend a lifetime trying to match and still fall short. Sonia felt tears streaming down her face, but she didn't wipe them away. Let everyone see. Let them understand what this moment meant. Today, I don't just claim Sonia as my mate, José continued. I surrender to her. I place my pack, my power, my life at her feet, and trust that she'll help me be the alpha, the mate, the father I should have been all along. He held out his hand, and Sonia took it, stepping up onto the platform beside him. I, José Cook, Alpha of Silvermoon, claim you, Sonia Cook, as my mate, my Luna, and my everything. Will you accept this bond? This was the moment she could say no, could make him hurt the way he'd hurt her, could reject him in front of everyone and watch him suffer. Instead, she said, I, Sonia Cook, accept this bond. But José? Yes. I'm not surrendering anything. We're partners, equals. You lead this pack, but I stand beside you, not behind you. José's smile was blinding. I wouldn't have it any other way. The Luna marks appeared simultaneously, on her neck, his wrist, visible proof of their bond. The assembled packs howled their approval, the sound rising into the sky like music. And then George and Loretta were there, throwing themselves at their parents with enough force to nearly knock José over. The four of them stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, and Sonia felt something settle deep in her chest. Peace. Finally. The celebration that followed was legendary. Both packs mingled freely, the old tensions between Silvermoon and Nightshade dissolving. Dimitri made a speech about family and forgiveness that had half the wolves crying. Margaret got drunk on ceremonial wine and told embarrassing stories about Sonia's pregnancy. But the best moment came late in the evening, when José pulled Sonia aside to a quiet spot overlooking the valley. I have something for you, he said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring. Not the ornate Luna ring she'd worn 3 years ago, but something simpler. A silver band inscribed with words in the old language. What does it say? Sonia asked, her throat tight. Not barren, never barren. Only waiting for the right moment to bloom. José slipped it onto her finger, his hands gentle. Because that's what you did, Sonia. You bloomed. And I'm sorry I wasn't there to see it. You're here now, she whispered. That's what matters. They kissed as the moon rose above them, full and bright and approving. The bond between them was strong now, unbreakable, exactly as it should have been from the beginning. Mama! Papa! Loretta's voice drifted up from the celebration. Come dance with us! Papa. It was the first time either twin had called José that. Sonia felt him freeze beside her, felt the emotion that slammed through the bond. "You okay?" she asked softly. "Better than okay," José managed, his voice thick. "I'm home." They went down to the celebration together, scooping up the twins and spinning them until they shrieked with laughter. And later, much later, when the party had wound down and the twins were asleep, José carried Sonia to their room in the Silver Moon pack house that was now truly her home. "I love you," he whispered against her skin. "I have always loved you. I will always love you." "I know," Sonia replied, her hands tangling in his hair. "And I love you too, despite everything, because of everything. I love you." Their coming together was slow and sweet, a reaffirmation of bonds old and new. And when they finally slept, wrapped around each other, the bond between them pulsed with contentment. 3 years ago, José had rejected Sonia for being barren. Now they had 2 incredible children, a healed bond, and a future brighter than anything either of them had dared to dream. The Alpha had been wrong. His Omega had never been weak. She'd been waiting, growing, becoming who she needed to be. And now, finally, they were both exactly where they belonged. Together. The end. So, Sonia got her happily ever after. A healed bond, her twins, and the Alpha who finally learned what it means to truly fight for his mate. But not every rejected Luna gets a second chance. If you loved watching Sonia's journey from broken Omega to powerful Luna, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss another story of betrayal, revenge, and redemption. Drop a like if you think José deserved to suffer more. And tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven him or made him pay forever? And if you're craving more werewolf drama, tap that video on your screen right now to dive into another tale of mates, rejection, and the savage justice of the pack. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.